Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing pretty well.
Good. Try to see if I can get this thing further back. There we go. Can I test my my sharing to make sure that it's going to work?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. You can go ahead and test it now. Let me make sure I have. Let me change my background to a TEA background.
And it says
I'll
disable.
enable you. I'll enable you right now. Yeah, no worries.
Good deal.
See if you can share it now.
All righty. Yes. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. I can see it. We can see it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take this call. I'll be right back.
No problem. Well, good morning to everyone. I see we have about 19 attendees here, and we have our panelists. It's 9 o'clock, and so I want to honor everyone's time, and I don't want to belabor the time. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Folks can trickle in. So good morning. My name is Damon Hoyle. I am the Senior Operations Project Manager here at TA, and my primary role is managing our COVID-19 testing program. And I am joined today by my colleagues at the Texas Department of State Health Services, also known as DSHS, who we collaborate for the Reopening Schools Grant, which is the overarching $800 million grant that provides these testing services for private and public schools across the state. And so we're excited today. We're joined today by our colleagues, or our friends rather, at Quest Diagnostics, who I'm going to turn over the mic to momentarily. So we're excited that they're here today to kind of explain to us what they're going to be offering. So before I do that, kind of wanted to just give an overview of the webinar, and then we'll move forward. So the purpose of this webinar is to just give you all an opportunity to hear from Quest Diagnostics to understand their offerings of what's going to happen next year. So this webinar is set up for next year, going into the 2022-2023 school year, and what they will be offering, which will be different or could be slightly different from what they've offered this school year. It's an opportunity for you all to hear from them, for them to hear from you. So please, as we're going through the session, use the Q&A feature to ask questions. And at the end, once they are done, we will go through as many of the questions as we can. And if we don't get to them, we will get to you all offline, either via email or one-on-one. This session is being recorded, as all the webinars this week will be, and they will be posted on the TA website at the end of the week. So please ask your questions. This is that opportunity to do so. We'll probably have some more webinars again in August. So with that said, I won't belabor the time any further. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Edgar. So go ahead, sir.
Very good. Thank you so much. Am I coming across okay?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Very good. Can you also check to make sure that Karen Murphy and Marcy Parker are able to present?
Will do.
Good. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and present to you all the Quest program for the COVID K-12 testing. My name is Edgar Salcedo. I'm a sales director for Quest Diagnostics. Quest is primary on this account, and we do have a couple of great partners that are helping us with this program. Let me begin by sharing my screen. Very good. I just need confirmation that you all can see my screen. Karen, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. You're good to go. We can see you.
Okay, fantastic. So as I was saying, my name is Edgar Salcedo. I'm the sales director for Quest Diagnostics, and Quest is primary on this program for the state of Texas. Our great partners to help us with this testing is Concentric by Ginkgo, as well as Drug Free Sports, and each one of them will be presenting themselves here shortly. Karen Murphy is the Senior Director for Ginkgo Bioworks, and Marcy Parker is the Healthcare Services Manager for the Drug Free Sports partner. The main purpose of today is to take you through the Quest Diagnostics program and how it can help you with the testing to ensure that your students stay in the classroom. So our support for school testing continues to be paramount for everything that we do. And so we're delighted that we are part of this testing for all of the schools of Texas. With that, I'm going to pass on the presentation over to one of our partners, Concentric by Ginkgo, to present themselves to you all. Karen?
Thank you, Edgar. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on getting through this school year. I know it wasn't easy for many of you in terms of all of the COVID testing and all of the different hurdles that you had to get through to get those students, take care of those students this year. So wanted to talk a little bit about our partnership with Quest. It is a pleasure to be working with Quest. We're delighted to be partnering with them and the state of Texas. And essentially, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Concentric by Ginkgo. We're working in a collaboration with the K-12 school testing, and essentially Concentric Ginkgo Bioworks will be providing customer onboarding and support capabilities, which also include account setup and on-site staffing, which will be provided by the partner that Edgar had mentioned, Drug Free Sport International. Concentric by Ginkgo essentially is a service that complements the Quest-led testing program. To tell you a little bit more about Concentric by Ginkgo, we are a synthetic biology company. We're based in Boston, Massachusetts. We provide comprehensive end-to-end COVID-19 testing services through our platform. We utilize pooled testing as the foundation to test students in participating schools. Essentially, we are working towards providing a greater peace of mind for parents, students, staff, and the entire community. We are a leader in the K-12 classroom testing, and we have supported more than 5,000 organizations in over 25 states. We've delivered multiple statewide testing programs across Arizona, California, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Missouri, New Hampshire, New Jersey, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, and obviously Texas as well. Next slide, please.
Great. Thank you so much, Karen. I appreciate that. Now I'm going to pass on the presentation over to our second partner, who is Drug Free Sports. Marcy?
Hey, Edgar, that's what I was saying. I don't see Marcy on. I wanted to make sure because I was going to promote her to be a panelist and make her be able to share a screen. If I'm mistaken, let me know, but I didn't see her on just yet.
Okay. Let me take a quick peek at the
attendee list.
Yeah.
I see a Matthew Parker, but not a Marcy Parker. If I'm mistaken, let me know.
Okay. I don't see her on here. Okay. Well, let's continue just for the sake of time. So Drug Free Sports is one of our other partners. They are with more than 2 decades of experiencing managing professional and amateur sport drug testing programs for hundreds of clinics. Drug Free Sports International has a breadth of experience in third-party testing administration. They partnered with us and have done on their own testing for the NFL, the NBA, PGA Tour, and the NCAA, which are just a few organizations. Those are very large organizations, so we felt very comfortable that they would be able to handle the large state of Texas schools. At the onset of the coronavirus in 2020, DFSI leveraged its mobile specimen collection expertise and expanded its offering to support the COVID-19 testing and vaccination events across the country. To date, DFSI network of trusted collection personnel continue to support some of the nation's largest clinical laboratories, including Quest, and with help as well as with health providers to expand the reach and delivery industry-leading turnkey solutions. So that is another reason for our selection with them to offer our staffing. As Karen mentioned before, Concentric by Ginkgo is going to be offering the supplies, the on-siting, the coordination, the portal. They're pretty much going to help us with all of the onboarding as well as the supplies. And then Drug Free Sports, should there be a need for staffing, Drug Free Sport is our other partner who will be providing the staffing. Okay, so with that, let me proceed then kind of for our program overview, give you a little bit of an idea of what we are bringing to the table to offer all of the school districts for the state of Texas. Karen, take it away.
Absolutely. All right, so here we go, getting into the details of the information session for today for Texas. So we can move on to the next slide. We'll talk a little bit about our mission, the benefits of testing, the testing program, and when you sign up. And we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So as I've mentioned, Concentric is part of Ginkgo Bioworks. Ginkgo is a biotech company based in Boston. During COVID, we have focused our efforts on fighting the pandemic, and we've helped develop more accessible test options to optimizing the manufacturing process of Moderna's vaccine. Our mission is to make testing accessible because everyone's health is connected. And you can see we were written about recently in the Wall Street Journal with regard to our focus on the COVID-19 pandemic. Here you have a map essentially talking about the scope of our services. As you can see, we have processed over 9 million samples to date. We've processed over 31,000 viral samples in terms of sequencing. We've supported over 5,300 organizations, and we currently have set up operations in 4 different airports across the US. So all of the states that you see colored in the map in green are states in which Concentric has delivered COVID testing services. And you can see the marker for the airport locations where we currently test inbound or flights that are coming into the United States from international locations for COVID-19 and other variants of COVID. So we're currently piloting some new modalities and offering passive monitoring in terms of wastewater and air monitoring. And as I mentioned, also working on a surveillance program with the CDC. This next slide is an example of some of the feedback that folks who have worked with our program have shared. So you can see we have worked, as I mentioned, across the United States, across New Hampshire, Baltimore City, and Tucson Unified. Chris Sununu, the governor of New Hampshire, stated that the program works because it's flexible and scalable. States and school districts and individual schools can implement testing protocols that meet the specific needs of their community, and they can scale these programs up or down based on testing data about the transmissibility in a given school or community. In another area of Maryland, within the Baltimore City public school system, where we support over 125 schools in the inner city, Cleo Hirsch, the executive director of the COVID response program for Baltimore City, mentions that instead of just having to make blanket district-wide decisions, we actually have lifetime data. So Baltimore was able to look at their dashboard and understand if perhaps the children should go virtual for a few days during the Omicron surge when over 50% of their pools were coming back positive. And Leslie Lenhart, who's the director of communications at the Tucson Unified School District in Arizona, says that a phased rollout approach was key. Starting with our early adopters, we were able to learn from them as we scaled. So Leslie manages all of the schools within the Tucson Unified School District. It's a very robust program. And Leslie's point of view was to start small and then roll out to larger school districts in due time. Thank you. So what we found, some of the benefits of testing are that regular testing helps maximize in-person learning and enrichment time. It's simple. So you are able to test an entire classroom via pooled testing in about 15 minutes with easy online portal access in order to get the results. It provides peace of mind and confidence for your school community. It is secure in the sense that PII, or personal identifiable information, and protected health information is maintained at the school unless an individual follow-up test is required. And it does give a sense of empowerment in terms of the kids in the schools really feeling like they're part of the solution. Now we'll talk a little bit about the different modalities that are available to the schools in Texas. So as Edgar mentioned, you have a very robust menu of the type of testing that will work best for your schools. Essentially, what Quest is offering is really the ability to kind of meet you where you are. The first option is what we refer to as source pooling. We also call it pool testing. That's a PCR method, which we refer to as the gold standard. It's essentially a lower nasal swab, which children in elementary school can self-swab if they are asked to. We could also work with you to provide staffing. And essentially the lower nasal swab, it's a self-swab, and we can put up to 10 of those swabs into a falcon tube. That pool sample is then sent to a lab via a courier and processed at the lab, delivering a result of that cohort within 24 to 48 hours. If that pool were to show that there was a positive sample in that pool, we would then follow up within 2 days to perform a reflex test to identify who in that cohort may have been positive. We have found that the benefits of this type of modality are that it's typically most cost effective and it has the highest throughput. So for example, if you really want to get a good sense of, is there COVID in my classroom or is there COVID in my school? This is a really good modality for that. The schools don't really have to worry too much about the cost effectiveness because obviously this is covered by the state of Texas. The second modality, which is offered here, is called the individual PCR, which again is a nasal PCR swab. And essentially, a lot of schools have opted to use this where perhaps the school nurse would keep these in their office. And if a student was feeling unwell, the student could go down to the nurse's office or the admission office and have this test taken. This test is then sent via FedEx to the lab, and the results are available within 24 to 72 hours. The benefits of this type of test are that it only requires one collection event. So you don't need to test again because that you're sending that individual swab to the lab. And it's a great way, it's a great tool to have in your toolkit during surges because you'll be able to identify that individual much quicker. The third modality, which is a very common, I would say this is probably the favorite of our schools in Texas, is what we refer to as the individual rapid antigen. I'm sure most folks on this call are pretty familiar with a rapid antigen test at this point. Essentially, it allows an individual to test through a nasal swab, and the rapid test will generate those results within 15 minutes. So again, the benefits of a rapid antigen test are really that they're the fastest time to result. So if a student is feeling unwell, they head down to the nurse's office, they're able to test and within 15 minutes have that result. And this test is most often utilized for that purpose, for students who may be feeling symptomatic with symptoms. So that covers the different types of modalities. Essentially, the DSHS-funded testing program is based on a national model, on Concentric's national model that we've rolled out. But really what we've done is we've tailored this to the state of Texas to really support and meet the schools where they are. So as we mentioned, we have the cohort testing, which again is really the pooled testing. This approach is designed to minimize the burden on schools and allows between 5 and 15 individuals to be tested as a group. The individual testing is either provided through rapid antigen, Access Bio, or CareStart, or a nasal PCR for the individual diagnostic and follow-on testing. And then the staffing support is provided by Drug Free Sport International. And I can see that Marcy has joined us. So Marcy, if you want to come off mute, I'd be happy to give you that opportunity to say hello and go over the staffing support.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I'm late. I had some trouble logging in and getting on, and for some reason it took me to Teams. It was a whole thing. Thank you, Karen and Edgar. Just real quick, I'm with staffing. I'm with Drug Free Sport International. We're also called DFSI for short. But basically, Drug Free Sport has a breadth of experience in third-party testing administration. We've tested with the NFL, NBA, PGA Tour, and NCAA, just a few of the organizations that we collaborate with. We support and develop and implement their anti-doping and COVID-19 programs. At the onset of the coronavirus pandemic in 2019-2020, DFSI leveraged its mobile specimen collection expertise, and we expanded its offerings to support COVID-19 testing and the vaccination events across the country. To date, the Drug Free Sports network of trusted collection personnel continues to support some of the nation's largest clinical laboratories and healthcare providers. We helped expand their reach and deliver industry-leading turnkey solutions. Our nationwide network includes administrative and clinical staff with knowledge and proven experience in the PCR testing antigen testing, and like I said, also vaccine administration. We're a client-centered company with highly trained and educated professionals dedicated to providing top-notch customer service. Drug-free sport offers are customized and tailored to client specifications in order to meet the needs of individual testing programs. So we're really excited not only to work with you, but Concentric and Quest for this event.
Excellent. Thank you, Marcy. In terms of, again, staffing support, all of the schools here should know that if you do need any help in terms of administering these tests to your students and faculty, we would make the introduction to Marcy and her team, and you would work with Marcy and her team to put together that schedule of when it works best for staffing to be at your schools to support your program. And then sort of the last piece here is the program administration and reporting. So essentially, you'll be working with Concentric for that end-to-end reporting, and we would be doing some training for you for the test champion to make sure that whomever is really in charge of running that program at the school knows how to order all of the supplies and knows how to enter the results of those tests. So here's a little bit more detail in terms of how cohort testing works. Essentially, we are only allowed to test students who have been consented. So this is a process where we would send those consent forms home with students in backpacks. We have them in many different languages, of course, in English and Spanish. We could also provide you with a digital consent. Once we have collected those consents, we're able to test the students, and it usually takes us about 15 minutes to test a classroom of about 20 to 25 students. That swab is then dropped into a tube or the pooled tube, and then the pool is run as a single test. Only the positive cohorts require further action. Again, we are following the FDA regulations of between 5 to 10 students and teachers swabs who can actually go into that Falcon tube. And the results are typically available within the 24 to 48 hours after being sent to the lab. So again, pooled testing is easy and fast, and it gives schools a really great idea in terms of what the positivity rates look like across the school. An entire classroom can be tested in just a few minutes. I've had the pleasure of attending and observing pooled testing in schools that I've visited, and it's been really phenomenal to see how it has just become sort of a normal part of the day. You know, after the students hang up their backpack, you know, maybe before they sit down, they do the test. It doesn't necessarily need to interfere with their day. They don't necessarily need to be pulled out of the class to be tested. They certainly can be. We really work with the schools to understand the best method for that. The test uses short swabs, so it's not the brain tickler, and it's a simple and pretty straightforward 4 circles on the left, 4 circles on the right, and then you're done. This next slide is giving you just a quick overview of what the portal looks like. So you can see that you would come up with a naming convention to understand how to name your pool. It's Mrs. Smith's first grade, Mr. Jones' first grade, the date that the sample was collected, what that test location looks like, and really what the result of that pool is. So as we've mentioned, any of the positive pools would require a follow-up test. If you did have a positive pool, we would send you an email notification, which looks like over here on the right, where it says "Hello Test Champion." This email notification is to let you know that, you know, there's been a positive test result. Please log into your account to review those details. So how the service works, essentially, we'll have you sign up, and you could use the website to sign up and receive, you know, all of the materials that you'll need to set your account up. We would then provide you with onboarding, which are instructions and video tutorials to show you how to use the website. We would prepare you for your first test day, which means that we would make sure that we would teach you how to perform the tests, how to register the pools, how to ship the samples, and of course, how to order all the samples for that first test day. and then walk you through how to enter and access the results through the Concentric website. Again, those results are available typically within 48 hours after the lab has received the samples. So our team is there to support you through all of these various steps. Essentially, you're going to opt into the state program. We'll be managing the district and school onboarding and questions about the program. Our staff will be onboarding any of the school staff with easy to use virtual trainings. So for the actual utilization of the tests, if a school wishes to sign up, a school essentially has kind of two options in terms of how those tests will be done. A school can choose to train their staff to administer those tests, or a school can use the staffing support provided by DFSI, which is obviously Marcy's team. If a school chooses to use their own staff, they will be trained by Concentric on how to administer those tests. And if a school chooses to use DFSI, DFSI has been trained or will be fully trained on the modality that your school chooses in order to enable and administer those tests on site. We will also prepare you for how to share consent forms. We have different types of communication and resources that are available to help answer questions that might come from your school, your superintendent, your school board, and parents. And we also have some materials that will be helpful for helping your students get ready. So if you haven't done pooled testing in the past, we have lots of great ways to help the children feel a little bit more comfortable about having these tests administered at school. So here's an overview of what some of those materials look like. As you can see, we have training videos and webinars, easy to follow instructions on what to do when your pool kit arrives, the different roles that a test champion will need to take on in terms of the rollout of a program. We provide you with a checklist of what you should prepare for before test day, during test day, and after test day. We also will give you an idea of what to expect when those supplies arrive. And then, of course, a support center where you can call or email or submit a ticket to our team at any time. And you should expect a 24-hour turnaround time or sooner with response to any of those questions. So here's a peek at what would be provided when you actually order any of those pooled tests. So you'll get some sample collection tubes, you'll have some individually wrapped swabs, a biohazard bag, which includes an absorbent pad for tube storage. You'll have some alcohol prep wipes, some pre-labeled return boxes for preparing those samples for the courier pickup, and a barcode scanner, which makes it very easy to scan all of those tubes so that you don't have to enter any of that information manually. And then here's the fun stuff. So there's some educational comic books and some coloring sheets. These have gone over really well, especially with some of our elementary school students, just helping them feel a little bit more comfortable about having some of these tests administered at the school. And then here is where you'll have access to some information that you can share with families. And, hopefully some really helpful answers to questions such as, why should we test for COVID-19 in schools? Or why should my child participate? What is classroom pooling? How does it work? How accurate is a pooled test? What happens if my child's pool is positive? Is my privacy protected? And what if I have other questions? We have all this information which can be printed and sent home, or it can be shared digitally with parents through a link to help answer any questions that they have regarding the program. We also have different blog posts for the school communities to share. So if you decide that you want to host any of this information or redirect any information you have about your schools or district's COVID testing program to our blog. Again, we would be happy to provide you with these links so you can understand how pooled testing works and how to get back in-person learning, organizations that we might consider in terms of making informed public health decisions, and why we care about privacy. So we have lots of information that you are certainly encouraged to review. And if you'd like to share with your stakeholders, we can provide you with all of the links to do so.
Thank you so much, Karen. Very well done on the program and all that it consists of. As you all can see, we've taken a lot of time and energy to put this program completely together to make it a turnkey. Every school will be different with regards to what modalities they pick or when they want to testing. So as allocations have been made to all of the schools, I wanted to talk a little bit about pricing as you all are trying to decide which modality to use. If you take a look at our column of the vendor sheet that's on the TEA website, you will see our prices there. And when we take a look at this, obviously the pod pricing is $150 that will hold up to 10 students. Our rapid antigen diagnostics one is at $19. The staffing, should you need some staffing help by Drug Free Sports International, that one will be at about $90 per hour per person with a minimum of 6 hours. And then the individual PCR for $100. If you take a look at which choice to pick, again, it's going to be very unique to the school, very unique to what testing is needed for that. As an example, just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of the pod pooling versus the rapid antigen. If you assume that you want to do 10 students and you want to select the pod pooling option, so you have 10 students that are inside of that one tube, that pod itself, the tube itself is only $150. If you decide to do it as an individual antigen testing, each of those tests are $19. So you can see that there is a little bit of a price difference. There are some advantages, as Karen has mentioned, with regards to the pod pooling, to allow for more testing of more students with less disruption. That doesn't mean to say that the individual antigen is any more disruptive. It's just a little bit of a different process to do each individual and do the rapid antigen that it is the pod pooling. So you have a little bit of a price difference there. And again, that's just an option for every school to decide what is best for them. So Karen talked a little bit about getting started by going on to a link that we have produced that is also in our vendor sheet on the TA website. And you basically just click on that link. This link will present you with an onboarding form that you will fill out all of that information. When you submit that, a representative from Concentric by Ginkgo will be contacting you with more information needed to get the school started and to get the school onboarded. But the first step that any school wants to do to get started with testing is to simply click on the link, and that is all they need to do. So we are at the question and answer portion of this. So we will stop sharing our screen and open it up for Q&A. I believe our TEA representative will be leading this session.
Yes, sir. Thank you all so much for all the information you shared. We do have one question so far. For everyone that's attending, I think we have about 25 attendees. Please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A chat. And then to all our panelists, if you go to the Q&A feature, you can also see the questions, but I'll go ahead and read it out. It says, so you have success stories with pool testing that you can share. So I guess they want to hear some success stories. Our school is concerned that pool testing could take up to 6 days to identify a case, which is way too long.
Sure, that is a great question. And thank you so much for joining today, and hopefully you're still on to hear the answer. Yes, I can state with confidence that we do have success with pooled testing. Essentially, the benefits of pooled testing are that you could, essentially test we've tested an entire school of 500 students in under an hour, right? And so really, we have not had those types of delays, which is why we are held to, the contract that we have with Quest, that we need to make sure that those pooled test results are available in the platform within 48 hours. So the longest that you would need to wait would be 2 days. So if you think about it, if we are able to test your students on a Monday morning, you should essentially have those results in the portal by latest Tuesday afternoon, in which case we would set this up so that you would have the cadence of, you have the pooled test on a Monday, and we would have the rapid antigen test already set up for a Wednesday. Or if you do your pooled testing on Tuesday, then you would, set your schedule up so that you would have the rapid antigen test take place on a Thursday. So we're always going to be, if you sign up for that staffing element with Marcy and DFSI, we're always going to be encouraging that 2-day turnaround. So if the results come into the portal, on Tuesday afternoon, then we're going to make sure that you've got some staff there or supplies, if you're doing it on your own, to rapid test and figure out who the positive case was.
Got it. Thank you so much. So we got questions coming in the Q&A and the chat. I'm gonna go to the chat feature. It says, if we are part of your program this past year, do we need to onboard again? And the answer to that is yes. There will be an application launch. We haven't put out all the specific dates. That'll come out later this month. But later we'll give out information about when it's going to be posted, but everything will be posted and ready to go in July. But yes, you would have to reapply for the 2022-2023 program, and then go through whatever vendor you choose, go through their onboarding. And the reason that's important is because they've made changes, so they want to make sure that you're fully aware of the newest changes. Is that correct, Quest?
Correct.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna take this second question in the chat, and then we have some more in the Q&A feature. If we are already using Quest Concentric DFSI for the 2021, do we need to re-enroll? Yes, you would re-enroll again because we need, it's like a school thinking about kids. You would re-enroll them again just to make sure that folks are good to go. So yes, you would have to re-enroll. All right, does this also mean that our nurses would also have to train again with you, even if they already trained? They would have to train again, Quest?
Repeat that question again.
Got it. Does this also mean that our nurses, so if I'm a school district and our nurses have already been working with you all and trained on your systems, does this mean that they would need to retrain again for this new school year?
Marcy, Karen, your thoughts on that?
I think if, in this case, the way I'm understanding the question is if the school is doing the testing and the school has hired a nurse, or the school nurse is doing the testing, and if that nurse has been trained on the portal, the nurse may need to, obviously log in and make sure that everything is working in working order. There may be a training element that the nurse would need to revisit, because we have recently switched from a 5 to 25 swab modality to a 5 to 10 swab modality. So I don't think it's an entire retraining. It's probably just a brush up on some of the things that have changed going into the next school year.
Got it. So definitely the retraining in terms of what things are new, but just to make sure that they're accurate and that they know the newest pieces they would need to. Okay, thank you for that.
Yes.
All right.
This is from Ann Kim. Would we function under Quest CLIA waiver, or would we need to get our own CLIA waiver?
We have a multi-site CLIA waiver as part of this program that we've offered to the state of Texas. So no school needs a CLIA license. Everything will fall under the Quest CLIA multi-site license.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Let
me dismiss. This was already answered. So I'm just gonna, okay. Okay, any other questions? I think that was our last one that I saw. Just looking to see if there are any other questions that are coming through. Can the portal be more intuitive? I search for totals from our testing sites and can't seem to get them.
Okay, let's see here, Margot. I search for totals from our testing sites and can't seem to get them. Yes, we can certainly provide you. You need total numbers from each site. Okay, why don't we take this offline, Margot, and see how we can try to get that information. I know that we do have it here. I can see total numbers that roll up into either a school or a district. So we can see if we can pull that information for you. Are you currently doing pooled testing or are you doing rapid antigen?
Rapid. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. We do have access to that information. So let's see how we can get that to you.
Okay. Any other, let me see if there's any other thing answered. I don't see any other questions. Is there anything that you all would like to, she dropped, okay, you dropped your email address. Thank you for that, Karen. And then go ahead, if you all feel like you need to clarify anything or want to add anything additional, please feel free.
No, the only other thing I wanted to mention before we end the session is that there will be a link that will be sent out where you can access this presentation. You can view it online or you can download it in case you want to share it with the staff or other folks at the school. This presentation has been made available, and I believe a link to that presentation will be sent out to you all.
Yes, we're recording it, and I know we're going to post it on our TA website later this week. So all the webinars will be posted there.
Very good.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? Let me see. Are there any other questions? I also wanted to, let's find out how to get that information. Okay. I also wanted to make sure I open it up to my colleagues at Dishes. They don't have to say anything, but I don't know if there was anything that they wanted to highlight or further reiterate or anything before we go. So from Dishes, if you all feel like something was left off or you want to emphasize something, please feel free.
Hi there, this is Diane Romness, and I would just like to point out one thing. Someone asked about the cost of staff. And so the way that we write it is $90 per hour per person with a minimum of 6 hours. So if you have 2 people going to your site per day and they're each there for 6 hours, then it's $90 for each of those people for 6 hours, $90 times 6 for each of those people. So if you have 2 people there for 3 hours each, that's not the total 6 hours. It's per person per hour.
Got it. Okay. And then what I would like to do before we go is I want to show everyone the website, and then I'll drop the link there. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Make sure I get this right. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Is it the TA website? Is that what you're looking at? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I want to make sure. Sometimes I get confused. So this is our website, and I'll drop the link in the chat. K-12 COVID-19 testing program, which is under the Reopening Schools grant. And what I'm showing you all is where the webinars will be posted. So if you just scroll down, it says webinars and presentations. They'll be at the top because we're putting this in. The most recent ones will be at the top. So you'll see recordings, Quest. It'll say 2022, 2023 school year so that you all know this is for next school year, and it'll be right at the top. So that's where the webinars will be. You'll click there and you'll be able to see the actual webinar. For Quest, I did have a question about your, I think you and Diane talked about it already, but the actual presentation you said will be available on your website, not necessarily the recording, but the presentation you just gave.
Correct.
Got it.
Diane, yes, that is correct. Diane, are you in receipt of my link?
Did you send it to me already today?
Last night, I believe.
Okay, well, we'll have to talk after this. I'll get it to TEA though.
Okay, very good.
Perfect. And so what I'll do is not only will we put the webinar there, right under the webinar link, the recording, I'll put another link that'll link to you all's website to the actual presentation that you made today. So everything will be right there for them. So
Perfect.
those that are listening, you can always go back and view the audio and view the link to the website. So thank you all. Let me see if there's one more question. No, we already answered that one. It won't let me dismiss it, but that's all right. Okay. All right. If there's nothing further, any last words?
I just want to kind of finish up by saying that we're super excited to continue our partnership with the state of Texas going into the new school year. I feel very, very confident and feel very good about the partners that we're bringing to the table with Concentric by Ginkgo and Drug Free Sport International. I think we have a great collaboration and a great team here that will be able to service all of the school districts, no matter the size. And that's the key, is we can go from small schools all the way to large schools. So we feel very, very confident that we can offer a turnkey solution for all of the testing so that we can keep the kids in school, which is really the purpose of trying to continue this testing throughout the fiscal or the school year 22-23. So thank you for that opportunity, and we're excited to get started into the new school year.
Wonderful. So Edgar, Marcy, Karen, thank you all so much for all the preparation you've done, for being here. And I know on behalf of the state of Texas, TA, DSHS, we're looking forward to working with you all as we support public and private schools. Thank you all so much, and we'll be in touch soon. Have a great rest
Very
of your
good.
day.
Yes, thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.